Hey, it's Wednesday again, Wednesday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Welcome to Heads Together, Facebook Live. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen. I'm coming to you from my home office in Ponte Vedra, Florida.
And I'm Jen Wilner, Bonnie's assistant, coming to you live from my home office in Edison, New Jersey.
I love how normal this is beginning to feel, Jen.
Yeah.
As we do these Facebook Lives week after week, and we welcome our community, our people from all over the world who are joining us. I've heard from so many assistants who are saying, yes, I'm going to join, I'll be there, and that they love hearing what we're talking about. And, when I was thinking about what were we going to talk about today, Jen, I happened to be watching the news at the time, and that's a pretty dicey activity these days, right? But I was hearing the latest information about COVID and the pandemic and sickness, and I started thinking about succession planning. I started thinking about the what ifs. And well, hello, Ruth. Nice to see you from Philly, I think. Philly, Jersey, South Jersey. Talking about the what ifs. What if any part of the team got sick, or God forbid, passed away, or a family member of that person got sick, or, passed away, that, the workplace right now is so destabilized from COVID that it would only get even more destabilized if a key person, or not even a key person, got pulled out suddenly. What does that do to a system? So I'm so interested in knowing, Ruth, what are you doing at your company to prepare for the what ifs? What are we doing? Are we creating systems for better backup? That kind of thing. Jen, come on back. I mean, you and I were talking about what is. Hello, Shirley from Columbus, Ohio. Jen, we started thinking about our own partnership, and what if either one of us got pulled out because of COVID, and what that would mean. I started thinking, well, wait, do I have the passwords I need? And because what happened, we had something happen. Two things, your hand and Alexis. Talk to us.
Yeah. So Mother's Day, for those of you who haven't been involved in my saga, Mother's Day, I fell in the yard and broke my primary hand wrist. A long process to get back from, 6 weeks of healing and a splint, and then lots of money as physical therapy. And just took my one and only sweetheart to college. So you never know. The weather was dicey coming home. So in certain parts. So
right. You never know. Yeah. And there's such strange weather going on all over the world. At Be the Ultimate Assistant, our students know that we run the what ifs. What are the what ifs? What if somebody had to be pulled out? I mean, I broke my hand a few years ago, Jen, and I remembered what that all felt like. So I knew that when Jen broke her wrist, I knew that it was temporary and that it would be okay eventually. I knew that she wasn't going to be as fast typing and that we'd have to come up with other systems. I knew that the pain makes people slower and tired, so that there needed to be an understanding between us about those what ifs. And those are minor things, but then life things like wonderful Alexis going off to college. I mean, those life events are disruptive to a life, and you never know. You plan on being away one day, but it ends up taking 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in knowing, for those of you on the call, hi, Marianne, hi, Shirley, that what is your company doing about thinking ahead about the what ifs? What if people get pulled out? is there any conversation happening about that? Because it's historically, to plan for succession planning is not something that leaders have paid much attention to regarding the assistants. That it absolutely is something that they pay attention to regarding the leaders, but not so much with the assistants. And then on top of everything else, we have a lot of baby boomers who are going to be retiring soon. And when they do, there's a lot of institutional knowledge that's going to be walking right out the door.
Absolutely.
So the question becomes, what's our legacy? What is it that we're leaving behind in the form of procedures manuals, video files? The question is, if someone had to suddenly sit at your virtual desk, would everything go smoothly or not so much? And if the answer is not so much, then what can we as assistants do to prepare? So that's essentially it. And Jen, I invite you to, as we move forward in our work, like, let's just make sure I have what I need and you have what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Passwords and ideas and even sharing, like we had a conversation earlier today and that we both learned from, but logging into stuff, what's this just in case?
Well, and then plus the software changes all the time. So it's about keeping up to speed on all the latest and greatest. Just because we knew the controls on Zoom 2 weeks ago, in this COVID thing, that they've been really changing it up a lot. Right. So we've got Anna from Phoenix and Maria Kastner's on the line, and Regina. Hi, Regina. Oh, it's so great to see all of your names. It's such a relief. Hey, Marion, is it just me? Oh, Marion's asking if the video and the audio has begun.
It definitely has.
Marion, she has us now. Happy we're here. The conversation is about what we're doing at our companies to prepare for if the worst happens, the what ifs. What if people get sick? What if they die and they're out like forever? What are we doing as companies, as assistants, to prepare for that if it happened? And at the same time, what are we doing to prepare for all the people who are going to be retiring with all of that institutional knowledge? Now would be the time to start really thinking on what is it that we need to do to make sure that if anybody had to leave, that we would be covered. Carre says that her boss recently retired, so he lost his work EA and he was with his EA for 18 years. Thanks, Jen. So I'm working part-time, and it's hard to compete with a former EA who had an 18-year history, especially if you weren't left with much to go on.
Yeah.
I mean, let's make it easy on the people that come after us, right? And I realized that was Karen Marsh. Karen Marsh, hi, honey. We're just such old friends from New York Celebrity Assistants. Lynn DeLuca from Akron, Ohio. Oh, and Nora's with us from Honolulu.
Hello, Nora.
She's with Hawaiian Airlines. We such amazing talent on this call right now. Would you agree that we do need to pay attention to what's in front of us right now with this situation? Lynn says that she has a procedures manual that she started working on with Julie Perrine. And hey, Joy Myers from Chicago. Julie Perrine, for those of you who may not know, she's dubbed the procedures queen, and she has 3 books that I know of. She gifts them to Be the Ultimate Assistant students, which is so generous of her. And she is the queen of the procedures manual. And of course, we need these manuals electronically and in hard copy, and video files, and however the technology can help us with, to put it on the SharePoint drive or in Office 365. We cannot be the only people with the information. We can't be the only ones with the password. We can't be the only ones who know, these pieces of information. Linda is saying that there are templates for procedures. Yes, Julie's an excellent resource. She surely has. Oh, Jen, you want to share what Marianne said?
Yeah. Sadly, I've had managers die twice, this time with COVID. It's tough. It's tough to access this data and information.
Yeah. Thanks, Marianne, for sharing. Wow. I have now gotten to know you pretty well. I didn't know that piece. That's pretty serious, really heavy. So those of us on this call, like, it can happen. Life happens. So our executives, they want to be private. They want to hold a lot of information. That's cool. We respect that. But we must have access to the materials that would enable the business, for business continuity, for the business to continue. A lot of people on this call remember 9/11, and the businesses that survived after 9/11 were the ones who did what we're talking about, the ones who had backups of key data, and that the assistants had, company-owned laptops at home that they were able to, access the company data.
Right.
Jen,
Anna has a comment. One of the directors at our work was unable to hire his admin due to the hiring freeze after COVID and a reorganization. Previously, his work from home, another admin and an analyst stepped into the assist until this week when he was finally given the go-ahead to hire help. Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like, I'm not going to profess to know the details of your company, but it sounds like our leaders and our assistants need to be talking to see what's realistic and reasonable. It's all well and good to say we're putting a hiring freeze on, but not to the expense of the stabilizing of our company. There's another point I want to make, and that is so many assistants I meet around the world. I'm up to 14 countries. I meet a lot of assistants to CEOs specifically. And it seems to me that in most companies, it really worries me when I hear that there's only one assistant in the CEO's office, because that to me seems like it's making the company quite vulnerable if there's only one assistant who knows all of that information at the CEO level, and without proper backup, that there's nobody else who has that information. It seems to me that most CEOs' offices, I would venture to say all, should have at least two assistants in order for proper backup and just in case the what if happens, right? I mean, I'm interested in any feedback from the group. Hey, Jennifer Newman, so happy you're here. Maria says that her company backs up everyone's computer each night. We're talking over 50,000 employees. So there's no excuse, right? Sometimes we just have to put money at this problem. But what I have found in talking with HR professionals and leaders is that the assistant team, you're so capable and competent that, what's that, Jen?
You're still funny.
You froze. Can you still hear me? Are we good?
Okay. So it needs to, we'll give it minutes to it gets back.
Okay. Wait, we love technology, don't we? We need these strong.
Internet has been a challenge with companies.
Okay. Jen, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I think you guys can hear me.
I see Lindsay. We can hear you.
Jen, I think your connection is weak. So just so you know, I'm going to continue. Talking. Oh, I think you're back. Let's hope you're back. Yeah, Lynn is saying it's not working. Jen is frozen back up. All right. I think she's getting back here. Regina says that one thing that worked really well for her was sharing electronic versions of travel itineraries, meeting agendas, etc., with at least one other person in the event of an emergency. Yes, 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 yes. I also printed paper copies to travel with the executive. Good. Paper's not always convenient or preferred, but many times it's a lifesaver. And I would agree, to do both is really important. There needs to be one other person besides you that has everything. And this goes for your personal life too. We definitely talk about this at BTUA, that, even in, you've heard about couples who won't fly together just in case one of the planes has a problem. Passwords are one of those things that it's so important to make sure that your executive, isn't the only person with that data. It's critical. Otherwise, there are lots of deceased people who have accounts online, whether it's Amazon, banking,
that's for sure,
whatever it is, and they can't close them down because no one has the password. It's pretty crazy. Hey, Kathy Ayers, good to see you. Hey, Jen, can you help us with what Kathy say?
So Kathy started a new position 4 months after the previous EA passed away. The new VP tried to handle things himself. The previous assistant had passwords and files in different locations, no set procedures for anything. Oh, goodness. So Kathy started making a procedures manual using Julie's book. Hooray. We're finally getting things into place.
Yeah. This is turning out to be a great commercial for Julie Perrine. You're welcome, Julie. She really does have it together. Some people just love this stuff, organization to the end, to the minute detail. I would not have as easy a time with this, but if you do it as a team, it's a daunting effort. A procedures manual, no doubt about it, even as easy as Julie makes it seem, it's a lot of work to make it happen. So to do it as a team, and to know that if you've got somebody retiring in a year or 2 years, it's going to take that long. I think it's going to take that long to get it all together and to check it out and get systems in place to make sure that that these things were kept up to date, which is of course the big challenge. Dusty has to say, Jen.
Dusty is saying, my computer C-suite EAs back each other up. Each of the leaders know we share information in order to better support each other and business continuity. One challenge is a central location for our individual desk reference manuals. SharePoint is too public behind our firewalls. What recommendations do you have?
I throw this open to the group. I throw it open to Vicki Sokol Evans of Red Cape Co. This is where we need to involve IT. So interesting that what's clear is that you as the assistants hold so much information, much of which is confidential. And our IT departments are very busy coming up with systems to make the data safe. But in so many companies, IT is not really coordinating and communicating very well with the assistant staff to talk through what's realistic and reasonable about passwords, about security, and about how to safely share the information that needs to be shared. So Dusty, I'm not professing to be the expert here, but if anybody is on the chat, please, please, please share. Yes, Julie's site is all things admin. Thanks, Jen, for that. What does Marion have to say?
Marion trying to bring.
Nora. We'll take Nora first.
Oh, sorry. There was a team of in place who covered the admin desk. He was trying. He took off.
You're cutting out, Jen. She also gave us access to her computer so we could support the CEO during her absence. There was also a procedures manual for us to refer to for those once a year items it's really important to build a relationship of trust among admins. I mean, that is one of 100 reasons why we need internal assistant networks where we talk to each other. There are many offices of the busiest CEOs, the busiest executives, and many of them have 3-person teams in order to cover the 24 hours in a day, and they back each other up. And so you've got to know there's great trust there that enables that to happen. So Robert Sanders, who you know is my wonderful partner, and he's listening to this down the hallway in our home in Ponte Vedra, he worked with Hewlett-Packard for 37 years. So why didn't I think that Robert would have the answer? Private folders on SharePoint work well. Private folders, so I guess they're password protected. Dusty, you might want to ask your IT folks about that. But really, just as we've talked about on these Facebook Lives, assistants need to be talking with HR about the ideas for reentry. This episode is really about finding our voices to talk with IT about how to protect the data if the what ifs start happening in our companies.
Mm-hmm.
Dusty is saying that he uses OneNote very heavily. Vicki Evans would be a big fan of that, but your peers don't. And Maria loves OneNote. OneNote is free on Microsoft Office. It is so shareable, searchable. The search tool on it is so powerful. I've seen demos with Vicki sharing how she can find the most random receipt from something that she had handwritten.
Right.
So here's the thing, that if you happen to be great at OneNote and you know that it would really solve a lot of problems on your team, then do a lunch and learn. Share information, just show a demo about how you use it and why it's so brilliant. Because there are a lot of, I'm a big fan of, like, why is there a software that some of us can't live without, like Waze? And then there's a whole other group of people who don't use it at all, and who don't even know about it, but they possibly would really, really love it if they had a demo and they were able to think like, oh my gosh, that would like save my life. We have so many chat notes. It's awesome.
Nora is saying that we've started using Teams since you can get access to designated people. Okay.
Yeah, Teams, part of my Office 365. Since the pandemic, I can tell you that assistants all of a sudden were forced to use Teams in a big, big way. Erica is saying she has everything in OneNote with different sections, accounts, passwords. Yeah, Vicki is famous for saying that OneNote is the easiest to use and the hardest software to teach. So, you might begin, if you love it and you think your team would also, you might begin with just doing a lunch and learn over Zoom or over Teams or however you want to share information, and just show them what you love about it and what you use it for. So, Jen, I'm not sure how your connection is, but what does Susan have to say?
So Marion said Teams works with OneNote, masterful marriage. Susan Palumbo, hello, Susan. Beginning of the year was temporarily supporting the SVP for 3 to 4 months. Now I feel very disconnected with my team when I transitioned back. After multiple requests to show them on how I can assist or take things off their plates, I feel my boss prefers to work with another admin as she can converse in her native Spanish. Any tips on how to deal with this situation? Currently, no open positions I can bid on in my company.
Interesting. It speaks to the idea that people love to communicate in a way that makes them feel comfortable, right? And so I in my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, do you want to learn Spanish really fast? but no, of course, that's not feasible, most likely, unless you have a real desire to do that. One of my instincts, and perhaps someone on the call has some ideas, but for you as the assistant, Susan, it was Susan, to talk with our Spanish-speaking assistant and just to compare notes about what are the things that she's doing for him or her that maybe our Spanish speaker is not so comfortable doing. Maybe it's a matter of communicating to just ask, what can Susan take off the other assistant's plate that she's really great at? This is about SME, subject matter expertise. And this speaks to the need to communicate with our fellow assistants. That, Olympia used to say that you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you do need to know who the experts are to go to. So Susan, I would urge you to have a conversation with the other assistant and perhaps even with the executive to just share a little bit about how you're feeling and to take a fresh look perhaps at the month, 2 months ahead to see what is it that's being planned, what projects are coming ahead, and to think about what new thing might you get involved in. Certainly, if there's a class or a workshop that you need to take in order to brush up on Excel or PowerPoint, whatever it is, I urge you to do that. And we've got lots of people on the call who can help you do that. But if you want to email me privately, we certainly can do that. I love the integration. So, yeah, are your companies paying attention to this about the need to prepare for the future, for people retiring, losing them temporarily to COVID? But this thing isn't going away, and the numbers are scary, scary high. You're welcome, Susan. So, oh my gosh, it's 3:25 already. So what else do we have to share? Jen, oh my gosh, next week, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. So your friend Bonnie Low-Kramen has been getting up on most days at about 4:30 in the morning because one of the main projects we've been working on during these last few months is a new website, a new Be the Ultimate Assistant website. And we have decided to showcase it next Wednesday right here on Facebook Live. So I want you all to be part of the big reveal. I'd like to see if I can, with Jen's help and Robert's help, manage the technology to show you around a bit. But it's going to be ready next week. And when we thought about how we want to show the world, I said, I think we need to do it on Facebook Live on Wednesday at 3:00. So I hope you'll join us, and you'll be curious to see what we've done. Ruth, I'm so happy to hear you to read that your company is totally preparing. That's important. Okay, so
exciting.
We're going to see you again next Wednesday. I hope you'll check out the also new piece of the website for our Be the Ultimate Assistant on Demand class, learn.bonnielowkramen.com. Most of all, I want you to stay safe and healthy and put your minds on how your company can be stable even in the most volatile of times. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've got in front of us right now. So, Jen Wilner, thank you so much for joining me as always.
You too.
And to all of you, I just love seeing your names in the chat, and it feels like we've got an oasis of sanity here in the land of the internet, in the land of the crazy insanity going on in the world.
Right. But uncertainties.
I wish you all good health, and communicate with me if you want in between time. But next Wednesday, the big reveal on the website. Wish us luck.
Just luck. All right, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see you next
Over and out.
same time, same place.
Yep. See you then. Bye.